Identity theft is one of the fastest growing crimes in the U.S., with millions of victims last year alone. Identity theft can impact anyone, anywhere, at any time, because people's information is everywhere, at their bank, at their doctor's office, and on their computer. Criminals know how to steal this information, which is why it's important for people to protect themselves and their families. Help your customers get covered and feel secure. Let's look at what identity theft is and why it matters. Identity theft is the use of personal information without the person's knowledge and with criminal intent. What is personal information? Examples include people's name, address, social security number, bank and credit card account numbers, medical records, and email address. Why does identity theft matter? Identity theft claims millions of victims each year, with average losses in the thousands of dollars, and average time to repair an identity in the hundreds of hours. Don't let people become victims of identity theft. How do thieves get personal information? The most common ways include hacking companies' databases to steal personal information, a data breach, making telemarketing calls asking for account or personal information, and stealing mail from residential mailboxes. People may provide easy access to their information accidentally or by behaving carelessly. These examples include accidentally downloading spyware and malware on their computers, not protecting their mobile phones or computers with passwords, and taking a picture of their driver's license or student ID and posting it on social media. With so much potential for theft, your customers need protection. Once they get personal information, thieves can do a number of things for their own benefit. Examples include taking over bank and investment accounts to drain your savings, filing fraudulent tax returns and collecting your refund, getting a car loan in your name and failing to make payments. This hurts your credit score and may present legal problems if the lender takes you to court. And using personal information to receive free medical care or prescription drugs. If a thief's health information is mixed with your medical records, then your treatment, health insurance, payment records, and credit report may be affected. Consider the following example that illustrates how identities are misused. Barbara is a doctor in Texas. She received a phone call from her bank saying that her children's nanny had authorized a $23,000 cash advance on her credit card to open an account. She told the bank representative, "I don't have a nanny." It turns out that 7 credit cards and 3 bank loans were opened in Barbara's name, and a minivan and 3 cell phones were purchased. "It's a helpless feeling," Barbara says. "My credit is ruined. I can't believe it happened to me." Help people prevent this from happening to them. People may think identity theft will not happen to them. Actually, everyone is at risk. For example, people who share their information on social media sites like Facebook and Twitter, people who file their taxes electronically, people who receive pre-approved credit card offers in the mail, and people who don't shred their important documents are all vulnerable to identity theft. Therefore, it's likely that your customers have done something that puts them at risk for identity theft. Let's take a look at an example that illustrates what tax refund fraud looks like. Dan files his taxes electronically. Recently, the IRS notified him that more than one tax return was filed in his name, and a refund check has been issued. Dan realized that he was a victim of an identity theft tax refund scam. Using Dan's social security number, the thieves made up phony wages, submitted the information electronically, and received a fraudulent refund. Dan spent time locking down his financial accounts, waiting for resolution from the IRS, and worrying about other things the criminals might do with his personal information. Your customers are at risk even when they haven't done anything wrong. People who are victims of a data breach have an even greater risk for identity theft because 1 in 3 people who receive a data breach notification becomes a victim of identity theft. A data breach is a security incident in which personal and private information is stolen or used by an unauthorized individual to commit fraud. You may have heard about companies such as Target, Microsoft, and Blue Cross Blue Shield who had private customer information stolen from them. Here's an example of how a data breach victim becomes an identity theft victim. Justin manages a car dealership. He requested a copy of his credit report and found he had several collection notices under his name for emergency room visits. Justin didn't receive any emergency medical care. His information was stolen as part of a data breach at a health insurance company. Justin believes the criminals used his personal information to commit medical identity theft. There was even a $19,000 bill for a Life Flight air ambulance service in a state I'd never visited. "I'm still cleaning up the mess," said Justin. You may be wondering, how is credit card fraud different from identity theft? Credit card fraud happens when stolen credit card information is used to make fraudulent charges on your card. Criminals may get the credit card information without actually having the physical card, and typically credit card companies will remove the fraudulent charges from your account. However, identity theft, on the other hand, is when thieves steal personal information to get a car loan or mortgage, obtain false identification, or open a new credit card. It is much more difficult to correct than credit card fraud and can take days, months, and potentially years to restore your identity. You may also be wondering, how is credit monitoring different from identity protection? Credit monitoring is one aspect of identity protection and only monitors changes to credit reports. Identity protection monitors personal information in public records, black market websites, and people search sites. Another important difference is that credit monitoring is reactive. It only alerts you after fraudulent activity appears on your credit report, which can be 30 days or more after the activity. However, identity protection can alert you when a new application is being submitted, such as for a car loan, new mobile account, or home mortgage. Help people understand the importance of protecting their identity. They wouldn't drive their car without auto insurance. They shouldn't live their life without identity protection. In today's world, people are constantly sharing information, banking and shopping online, paying with debit and credit cards, and using social media. Therefore, your customers need identity protection just like they need protection for their cars, their health, and their home. As carefully as people plan for the unexpected, it's impossible to anticipate the theft of their identity. Innovative technology and ongoing monitoring can help. The numbers of victims and amount of losses are staggering. Early warnings are imperative. With protection, your customers can be in control. Help them protect what matters most. Thanks for watching.